Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, where you're tuning in from. You are on the PPP show with Diego Rodriguez and Will, the amazing bull rider Morris. And I actually have a very fascinating topic for today. It was actually brought on by who Rajan. I'm gonna mess up his name. Rajan Maris,
Hmm.
the CMO of Mastercard. Very. How would I describe this man? He's been in the game for over 35 years. So he went all over the board, and he did the applicable side of business, of the sales, and then the marketing side, which was getting the leads in and bringing them in. And then this is where the question comes in. So this is where the topic is going to go from. He says that marketing is dead. The way of marketing is dead, right? And he made a book called Quantum. This should be a plug, and this is a good plug. He should pay us for this.
Yeah, you send me an email and say, "Hey, look."
Yeah, this is, we got some little royalty check our way. But he wrote his book Quantum Marketing, and I went through it. I went through it, and in it it talks about a variety of concepts and marketing methods that used to apply and no longer apply. And one of the things that he's saying is that you shouldn't be kidnapping people's attention. He's saying you're kidnapping people's attention and trying to bring them over by interrupting them or distracting them, or trying to be sneaky. One of the examples he uses, remember when you used to get those banners on your phone, and then it was a little X, like super tiny, and if you try to click it, no matter, even if you kind of like dialed it right on the bullseye, clink, will still send you to the advertiser site anyway. Well, he says that that kind of stuff is no longer working as effectively as it used to, because people are now waking up and figuring out that, hey, that's not the way I want to do business, especially with a
Right.
company that does stuff like that. And I thought about it, and when he said that example, I'm like, same reaction you had. I'm like, that's a good point. I remember that. So it ties in with a question that I read from a business owner's problem that's going on in Quora, which is, where do I market? Where do I put my money in, especially right now? And I have a list. I compiled the list of over 51 different marketing methods. And I just want to run through them really quickly. And I want to just go through back and forth and see which ones apply for businesses, how they can use it to get leads in, and how they can, I mean, ultimately make that into money, into cash, into revenue. So here we go. I'm going to share my screen. Man, when he said that one, I started laughing, man. I couldn't believe it. I was like, man, this guy. He brought it up, and it was true. All right, there it is. So it's a handful, and I'm gonna speed through them. This show is about giving you actual tactical sound marketing methods, sound advice, and sound strategies, and systems for your business. That's really what it is. And we get it from subject matter experts and business owners that go all the way to the multi-millions and eventually one day billions. So the first way is social media marketing, all the different aspects of it. Old school marketing, going out and saying, "Hi, who are you? This is who I am." Getting people from referrals, content marketing, trade shows, mastery events, case studies, buying the leads themselves, cold calling, networks, and networking with people in those networks, getting surveys, getting billboards, sending out press releases, advertising, and I guess that means I meant regular advertising and whatever methods you have to. Getting your website's homepage optimized with funnels, partnerships with people and collaborations, giveaways, sponsorships, word of mouth, which is referrals. I should take that out. Same thing. See, guys, I'll be honest. Public speaking, networking, salespeople, and there's already two right there. Boom. Getting salespeople out there, getting your AdWords, Yelp reviews, regular reviews on Google, organic search, SEO and search engine optimization, newspaper, radio, guest articles, volunteering, community events, industry publications, direct mail, SMS text messaging, webinars, walk-ins, centers of influence. So for an example, Coach Burt has his factory of greatness. You go in there, it's the center of influence. Testimonials, you buy actual people from competitors. Like, hey, let me get your leads, let me get your list. Facebook ads, YouTube ads, Instagram ads, collaboration, news jacking, podcast marketing readouts. That's what Joe Rogan's doing a lot of right now on his Spotify. When you go through his videos, the first second is going to be 5 of him saying, hey, Joe Rogan is brought to you by Oakley's or whatever it is. Workshops, Clubhouse is a big one right now on iPhone.
Mhm.
Collaborations, product placement, and videos. I pulled up a very, very perfect example for this one. The collaborations for videos, product placement, affiliation, sonic branding, and then the one that I got from Jameer, crisis marketing. Now, this was an interesting one. So that was a lot, wasn't it, Will?
Yep.
Let me ask you a question. Out of the whole readout, how many of these do you think businesses are utilizing on average?
Well, I think larger businesses are probably, um, I think larger businesses are probably using more of them, utilizing more of them, I guess. But I don't know. And smaller businesses probably one or two. But the thing is trying them versus using them well. I mean, because when you're reading through them, I mean, I've actually, for my businesses and for helping other people, whatever, I've seen success in just about every one of those. I mean, that you listed off there. But the thing is how much effort you put into it, and one's going to work better for different businesses. So I don't know. To answer your question, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think there's a lot. I mean, I see businesses using every one of those. I think you're doing good.
That's what I was thinking as well. I got this list, by the way, from the one and only Tony Robbins. This list is actually from his business mastery course. I mean, the one
Mhm.
that people pay all that money for. He put this out as an example of all of the different methods that people say that, yes, I have all my money put into all of the different marketing strategies and I'm still not getting what I want. And he's like, great. That means that you got to go back, figure out what's not working, optimize it, and figure out what you're not using, and also implement that as well. And I thought about that. I'm like, that's very interesting. And when you said a lot, when I was reading through this, and you can see how you use a lot of them, I started thinking to myself, I wonder how many businesses overlook things like this. So easy that you can just go through it and boom, we don't have anything on the podcast, and a podcast will
Well,
blow you up.
I think overlooking is one thing, and then another thing is just not paying attention to it. Like you have walk-ins there. A
Oh, and not
lot of
paying
people,
attention to it. That's a good one. Not getting the maintenance on it. Not
well,
taking
right,
care of
exactly.
it.
So somebody may have walk-ins. Say you have foot traffic in a retail brick and mortar or something, and you may not realize, um, you may not realize that those, they just walk in, but are you talking to them? Are you greeting them? Are you marketing to them? Are you finding out what they're really looking for? How you can help them down the road? How you can get them back in the door? You don't want to wear them out, but at the same time, I'll tell you right now, something that's working for me is taking um, these wholesalers, in real estate, the term wholesale, and they basically go out and they make,
Mm.
they build a list, whether it's through mapping or just searching records, and then they do what's called skip tracing, which is pull out the name, email, phone number, and then a lot of times they will just hand those off to a cold caller or something. They literally make 10, 15, 40,000 phone calls a month, just boom, 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 boom. But I've been doing everything the same. But what I do is I'll be very targeted, and
Mm.
rather than having 100,000 phone list or something like that, and have them just wearing them out, I'll get very targeted down to like my 10, ideal, perfect, property. Well, just for real estate, for like my real estate deal, I'll go out and I'll find the exact. Uh, I'm finding the exact properties that I'm wanting to buy, and I'll skip trace them. I'm doing this using the same thing. I get their phone numbers, and then I call these people. I call the owners. I personally call them, and I have a conversation with them. I'm not just calling, "Hey, what do you want to sell?
Mm.
Hey, what do you want to sell?" I call them. I introduce myself, and you get the same things as far as like you're not interested, da 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 da, whatever. But at the same time, if you're having a conversation with them and you don't give up on them, I've even went as far as, you might think it's crazy, but I even went as far as I searched the wild web and was able to find a 78-page packet of Stratton Oakmont from,
Oh, bro.
Philadelphia. I found a
The Wolf of
70
Wall Street, huh?
yeah, found his 78-page Stratton Oakmont pitch. And the reason why I found that, of course, I was looking for like some just one-liners and things. I like to study ways to be more, more um, productive out of these phone calls. And the thing about it is, I mean, the man, when it comes to cold calling, he was, they were really, really good at it. And so I wanted to research his script. And the thing that I found out about his script, and I wish I had it with me, it's upstairs in my briefcase. But the one thing I noticed about his script, going back to what I was saying, is that they didn't just call and say, "Hey, we're a stock trader and we want to sell you some stock." They were actually getting to know their customers. He called back then he called it qualifying, but in his book now he said, "I hate to call it qualifying because now I call it, it's more like research and getting connection with that prospect on the phone so you can really find out what motivates them and then move them through the sale
So
process."
not qualifying, but connecting. That's interesting.
Connecting with
That's
them.
an
Yeah.
interesting perspective change when it comes
Yeah.
into your business practices and the way you do
Yeah.
things, especially with the sales method and the marketing method. So what
Because
went through it?
you had a cold calling business at one time, didn't you?
Yes, I did. And
And so you
and that and one of the biggest influencers in the method that we were using was the straight line method by Jordan Belfort.
really,
Because and
really,
it's funny that you said that the 78-page document because it's a fat one and I'm thinking about it, it's this fat. And the thing that he utilizes is, like you said, it's connection over qualification solely by just saying it's, well, he says it like this. I'm not going to butcher it, but you got to come out right off of the gate. You got 3 seconds to explain to somebody who you are without saying anything.
yeah,
And I thought that was perfect when it comes to the cold calling side. And then also think about it, when you're reaching out to a cold market, it's going to be the same aspect. It might be a
yeah,
different medium, and it might not be a phone call. It might be through a funnel, a page, a video. But think about what he says. You have 3 seconds to catch somebody's attention by the tonality, by them seeing you as an expert and being sharp as a tack on what your trade field is. And I thought about that with how businesses come across. And if they have sloppy marketing, if they have interrupting marketing that just kind of like throws off the vibe, say, for example, if you're on YouTube and you're really getting into the video, and just before the really cool part happens, black, you get that cut in the commercial, and you're just you're waiting for that 5-second countdown button to reach one so you can just click it to get out of it. You don't even care what it is. You don't even see what it is. All it is an interruption. And I
yeah,
saw that in marketing, and moreover in how we reach and how we engage our clients and our people. And it's true with Jordan Belfort, it's just coming off the gate, establish yourself, and then from there, well, I don't want to say the word qualifying, but that's really what it is. It's qualifying through discovery,
yeah,
seeing what's their main problem, what's really going on, how we can present ourselves to them so we can fill that need and actually get something out of it. And if not, then move on to the next one. I'm not gonna put myself in a position where I can't help you out or hurt you by putting you into something that you know don't need. Like a doctor. A doctor is
yeah,
not gonna tell you, hey, I know for a fact you have depression, but you know what? I'm gonna give you something else for it because I'm gonna get more money on the side from it anyway. It's not how
yeah.
we are. What is that? Actually, Will, this is a good one. What is it called when you have an obligation to your people or to your client for the better well-being? In finances, it's called such an F, fiduciary. A
Fiduciary.
fiduciary.
Yeah,
It's your
yeah,
fiduciary duty. That's how
yeah,
business has to be. It's your fiduciary duty. It's the way that you have to look at how you can present a solution towards somebody. That's really what it is. And I believe that Jordan Belfort, I mean, crazy stories, all the things that he's gone through, all the craziness that he's been experienced. However, with all of the experience and tactical advice and sound quality method and structure that he's put together in that script and in that method of planning, what's it called? The straight line system.
yeah, yeah.
It's it truly hits all of those pinpoints. It hits all of those it hits all of those buttons that you need to press in order to get somebody from on the edge over the edge. I really
And
do
I'll
believe
tell you from a sales standpoint too, I think that he, you know, he perfected a avenue that which at the time was a great way to get a hold of people. I mean, you got to think back in the 80s when he was,
That's
you know, and
right.
this
I mean, back then it was phone calls, just
right. I
straight
mean,
up.
when you back in the 80s, you make a phone call and 98% of people would answer their call. You know, they didn't even look at the number. There's hello, you know,
It just rang. It just rang. Hey, who is this?
they
That's
didn't
right.
even have caller ID. You know what I'm saying? So, um,
Old school
I
marketing. Yeah.
you know, with that being said, I think that, you know, that's something to pay attention to as well. Going back to like your marketing list there, you know, I think that's what I'm saying. Like, I think a lot of people do those, but is it the right fit? Is it the right time? You know, is it the best avenue for the current time? And so, like me personally, I think cold calls, and I hate the term cold call. I think the, you know, like the discovery call, the initial call, the
The
value
first,
call, whatever
the
you want to
first
call it,
contact.
the first point of contact. I think using the
That's it.
phone is coming back. You know, like you said, people are tired of, you know, you get numb to the fact of Facebook ads right now. You get
Numb.
numb to the fact of YouTube ads. You get numb to the fact of, you know, when you search Google and the first 8 things are paid ads. You know, you get numb to that, and so you know it's almost aggravating. So I can see where the you know, the guy with MasterCard, I can see where he was coming or where he comes from, because um I halfway agree with him that the interruption pattern, people are just numb to the fact of getting interrupted. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of like
Mm.
walking out of your house, and every day if somebody hits you with a waffle bat when you walk out of your front door going to work, you know, after about 4 or 5 times, you just expect it. You come out, you boom, and then you go on to work. You don't even pay attention to it no more.
Ready to wake up in life and take my morning wiffle bat to the face, Will? Where are you living? Where is
So, I
that?
mean, that's where marketing's going, and I think, you know,
I see that a
so
lot, unfortunately, and I don't
social
like it.
social I think is losing a lot, some power too, or not power, like they're losing some authority with everything, this recent events, you know, and stuff like that. Like, and I'm not, you know, I'm not real political, I don't want to get into that, but I'm just saying, with the trust has kind of gone down as well. So you've lost a lot of people on the platforms. There's uncertainty in the marketplace of social, and where do you get information, and is it real, is it that? I mean, um
Well, actually, excuse me. I am so sorry. I hate when people say, "Well, actually." I was watching Caitlyn Bennett, the gun girl. Do you know who she is? The gun activist. Oh my goodness! There was a lot of bickering, and I got that. Excuse me, Will. I'm gonna kindly interrupt you because I want to tie something in to what you were saying, because it's going to be aligning, and it's gonna actually complement what you were talking about. Let's go into this. You're talking about the how did you word it? Social media isn't as powerful, but you said another word. It doesn't have so much authority. I think that's the
authority.
word. Buying, customers, clients, whoever is making a purchase decision is influenced by two priority things: emotions and the psychology.
Hmm.
That's really what's going on. Whenever you feel that, look, the word right there, wherever you feel, what's feeling? It's an emotion, right? It's
Hmm.
psychology. In this day and age, in 2021, we're going through crisis right now. There's a lot of crisis going on: a health crisis, a financial crisis, an environmental crisis. The psychology behind people has changed dramatically, as opposed to how it was 14 years ago, because there's different kinds of crises. It was a whole different narrative. And because of that, we had to be adept, and we had to be able to modify our message so our psychology can affect the emotion from the person that's actually making that purchase decision. Whether it comes from technology, the health industry, gas and oil, this goes everywhere. Will, am I lying when I say that psychology and emotion is the biggest factors that drives decision making? A lot.
Yeah,
I mean, even with logic, the feeling and emotion and psychology has to be behind it.
well, that's you know, everything I've been taught to basically tell you to, you know, uh, sell on emotion and close with logic. You know, you sell them what they
Mm.
want, you sell them what they need. I mean, so like all that boils into you know, emotion, 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 emotion. You know, I mean, that's and I, you know, and it's in the sales pitch. Like, even when I'm talking about say I'm talking to an investor, looking to see if they want to invest in the fund or into one of my deals or something. And the first thing the conversations I'm having right now are those emotionally attached, like, hey, I know the market's doing really well right now. Do you feel uncertainty in it? Are you wanting to, do you feel like you need to diversify? That's what we're talking about, that 401ks, it's like, hey, market's doing really well right now. Have you ever thought about a self-directed where we can turn around and bring that, self-directed into real assets that don't, they're not going away. They're real, they're physical, you can't make any more land, that's emotional, you know what I'm saying?
It is.
And
look,
then,
I'm even feeling it. You're talking about it. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I feel
then
it transfers.
Then you turn around, they're like, yeah, we have been thinking about diversifying, or oh yeah, the returns right now on crypto are really high. Well, whatever it may be. Then you start going into logic. Well, like, look, here's the reason why it makes sense. It's a real asset. It's got tax benefits. We're getting this thing's seeing I don't know, a 10% cash on cash returns. You start hitting those numbers, 20% IRR, you've got, we're looking at a 2x multiple, and, you start hitting the logic part of it. And then they're like, yeah, you connect with them. And so same thing, that's what everybody needs to do. I hate to keep going back to sales because I know we're kind of talking about marketing, but I think,
well, this is for business, and sales and marketing is the hand in hand.
I mean, what we were talking about was kind of in the marketing space, but I really, it again goes back to kind of what you were just talking about with the crisis marketing. I think crisis marketing is, to me, it needs to be a little bit more sales, and what I mean by sales is I mean actioning, because when I think of marketing, I think of running ads. Marketing to me is the process of putting stuff out, right? And sales to me is the process of, like closing, pitching and closing,
transaction.
Very transactional, right? And so when I think of marketing, I think of running Facebook ads, and then when I think of sales, I think of those ads generating leads and then calling those leads or emailing those leads or whatever. So that's kind of in my mind how I'm separating those. So
marketing system, sales system.
Right. Yes. Right. And so for me, you've got to generate the leads, but I think, especially right now, present, if anybody wants to do anything, I think, the sales is the people are there, like when in a crisis, when there's uncertainty in the market, there's opportunity in uncertainty.
What's an example? For somebody listening to right now, they're hearing this, but they want to be able to place it with something. Do you have an example? I have one example, and it's a Chilean miners incident.
I can just give an example from one of my, take the property management company. We were doing a little more marketing pre 2021. Through COVID, we were kind of marketing, trying to expand that reach. Whereas now we're more.
What are you guys doing? Facebook ads, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook,
SEO. Google. We were really really looking like locally, because it wouldn't do me any good right now to get a, really a place in, say, Denver. I don't have property management in Denver, so it wouldn't really do me good. So we were really focusing on like local. Mm-hmm. So local, you can do Facebook, you can do Google, search. And again, having your target market in mind, I was targeting, say, older individuals, because like for HEO or HOAs, marketing, typically that's an older individual, lives in a condo, they may be retired. So you got to kind of know your avatar, and then, are they searching on, Facebook? Are they searching on Google? How are they doing? And so that's what I was meaning, is that what we did is we actually went 2021, we started doing more direct, like we're looking these people up, we're calling them saying, hey, are you looking for a second opinion on your HOA management or this or that? And so in uncertainty, what I mean by when I say there's opportunity and uncertainty is that, say that your business, everything's going well, it's cruising, it's working, everything's, going really nice. And so you're not necessarily looking for a second option or a second opinion or another quote, right? Well, all of a sudden COVID happens, shit shuts down,
Boom.
There's crisis in the market, and it don't have to be necessarily a crisis too. It can just be change in the market. So, not only did we have COVID, not only did we have, like for us, we were going, well, everybody. So you had COVID, you had an election, you had a change, you had a lot of
change of
going on.
government.
Yeah, a lot of stuff changing. And so when there's change like that, that gives you, people start looking. It's like, ah, shit, there's disruption in their business. And so they start looking for
disruption.
solutions.
That's a good one. Disruption.
Yeah.
That's really what it is.
It is. And they start looking for solutions because everybody wants to go back to that happy place of, hey, everything was smooth sailing and we were doing nice. Well, now
I don't want my DVDs. I want my vinyl.
That's it. It's like, now the water's getting a little rough, there's a little choppy out there. The winds are the waves are picking up, things are happening. You're like, oh man, I want to go back to smooth. I want to go, and so they're looking for somebody that can facilitate that. Go on. They're looking for somebody that can, get them back to that smooth sailing because their current situation is not, it's not working anymore. And so that's what I mean by
if it ain't working, you got to fix it.
Yeah.
I mean, and the old adage of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's over now. It broke. You got to fix it. And right now, marketing is broken.
And that's what I'm saying. I hate to say kind of chaos, but when there's change too, because take like the stock market. There's not really chaos in the stock market. If anything, it's doing really well. Everything's at record highs right now. Everybody should have a pretty good portfolio right now. And so there's not necessarily, so now they're like, man, this is going good. Now's the time. It goes back to that emotion, when things, when it's up, when you're happy, that's an emotion. When it's down and sad and things are not going well, that's an emotion, so you play off those and you can, so I guess I don't know. I don't really have a good example, but that's what I'm thinking.
Well, no, I mean, that was a perfect example because when people are changing from a huge market to a more localized market, like you were saying, instead of going wide, you start focusing more in, especially right now, because people are affected, people are hit, and you're trying to fill in that gap of quality service, especially when you have a lot of restrictions on you. That's the truth of it. And the reason I was bringing up, do you have an example, is I was looking at an example and I found one of the Chilean miners and Oakley, and this is how they utilize this. Oakley sent, you remember the Chilean miners where it collapsed and there was Oakley sent 35 pairs of their sunglasses. Okay, 35 pairs. And their logic was, we're going to send these miners UV polarized lenses because the first thing that's going to happen is what? They're going to come out and the sun is going to blind them. Right?
Yeah.
So we're going to send every single one of them a pair of one of their glasses. Each one was $180 worth. Okay. When the Chilean miners got out from this huge crisis, this disaster, they were stuck in there for days and everybody was trying to figure out and scramble, and it was heartbreaking, gut-wrenching. And then finally, in the moment of truth, when everybody figured out that yes, it was possible they were going to come out, and they did come out, when the picture was taken, what was on the picture was on the face of the man that was finally freed. The pair of Oakley sunglasses, that big O right there on the side. They got they got approximately $41 million worth of coverage. Right?
Wow.
Approximately $41 million worth of coverage from sending 35 pairs of sunglasses retailed at $180 each. So
their marketing officer.
So what is the lesson? So let's pull out lessons, because clearly not everybody is going to be doing this kind of things. And there's backlash. There's some backlash. Some people said, hey, you were trying to capitalize on a tragedy. And at the same time, somebody says, hey, well, you know what? That was the best product placement of the year. Yeah, it kind of was. So, and the response from Oakley's was, we're trying to just help them out, because they really did think about it. What's going to happen when their eyes come out? They're going to get blinded. I can see that. And at the same time, look how it was rewarded. $41 million worth of coverage nation. And it was actually worldwide. Japan, China, India, America, South America, everywhere. It was everywhere. So for a business, for example, so now let's get into the tangibles of it. For a business right now, if, for example, for the coronavirus, and Will was talking about, did you say health insurance by any chance? I don't know if you said something about health insurance or insurance agents. I think it was in my head. One of the, one of the I'm crazy. One of the methods that insurance agents could utilize right now, because their industry right now is actually going up, because
Yeah.
a lot of people are actually scared of. I mean, it got more blown up, so they actually started thinking about their coverage, and they say, I don't have any, or I have to get better, and boom, they're getting more sales than ever. And because of that, they're utilizing a lot of crisis marketing. They're utilizing, hey, the crisis of the coronavirus, make sure that you protect yourself. We're going to be able to help you. Plus, all of our other products that we have for you. Boom, there's an in. There's the entryway. So what would be a possible ethical way for your business to utilize helping, right? Giving information, showing a solution to a problem, or just simply showing support to a situation. And at the same time, you can be rewarded with exposure, clients, leads, or any of the etc. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, to me, what I'm hearing from this, and I think this would go even beyond crisis marketing. I mean, you just kind of give me something here moving forward. Like I'm going to make a list of kind of like, I don't know, in my mind, I'm picturing like three columns and have like, you could have like global, or large scale. You can have like state or regional, and then you can have like local, like right now, and have three columns, and each one of them you could put like events or like current events.
Oh,
You
I
know what I'm
like that. I like that.
and
Yeah.
then and then what you do is you list in there. So like for global, we could put in there, like COVID, election, rioting, or this or that, whatever may be going on. Texas being froze up right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that would be, that's current events that on a large scale, unless you live in Texas, then it may be local. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
depending on where you are, I'm trying to picture this, how this would work for a business, whether it's a local brick and mortar, an online, whatever it may be. Take even back to, speaking of online, going back to like the glasses for this Eclipse thing. Like that was a great event. So like you could put on there, this could be like the, capitalizing on, current events and stuff. And so in your marketplace, whether it's on a global, regional, or a local, take like Texas right now, that's, that could be kind of all three of them. But that, taking that and then basically writing those down, what's happening, and then maybe off to the side listing out sort of some ways that you can, you could look at it. I kind of think of two ways. You could say, okay, how could I add value like Oakley did? You know what I'm saying? Like, how can I help it? So,
Yes. How can I
like,
how can I help a problem? How can I solve a
right, how
problem?
can you add value? And this goes back to even like what we're taught is in social marketing. They teach you to add value, give value,
Value.
and
Yes.
because there's a law of reciprocity there, that if you
That's right. The
give,
law of reciprocity. That's right.
it can come back. And so like if you're local right now and say you're a hardware store, take every freaking snow shovel, off your shelf and go out and give it away. But the thing you got to do too is you've got to document that. You know what I'm saying? You got to share, you got to get that story out. So like what
Share
Oakley
the
did,
story. Mm.
what Oakley did is great. But it wouldn't have been great. Nobody would have known nothing about it if it wasn't on national TV. Does that make
Absolutely.
sense? Like if
Exactly.
nobody was filming that and they just give them away, they would have had to write that off as a loss. That's 35 times 180. I mean, hell, that's 10,000 something dollars or something like that. Whatever quick math that, I
I'm
mean,
gonna do the math real quick because I can't do math right
as
now.
just a quick guess. So I know 35 times 10, I mean, or 180, that's 1,800. And then you do that 10 times 18,000. Hell, that's more than that, ain't it? That's, um,
35 times 180 is $6,300.
oh, anyway,
Come
I
on.
was thinking 1,800. I'm sorry. I was bigger number. I was
We were
thinking
doing
18.
we were doing trig when it's algebra.
10. Take your shoes off, son. But I think that's where you got to get. So
Oakley's was very smart when it came to the actual. Well, first of all, it's product placement. That's really
yeah,
what it is. They knew they're gonna take pictures. There's cameras. There's cameras everywhere because it was already reported. Remember, it was already reported live. I mean, it already had coverage. They were like,
yeah,
"Hey, here's a site where it got torn down," and no, I mean, clearly nobody was out yet, but the exposure was already there. So right now, where's the exposure? And moving forward, always look for where is the exposure? Where is the current attention? Where would you
yeah.
say some exposure channels right now? The presidency, that's a big one. The coronavirus, that's a huge one. What's another big one? The real estate
Well,
market. housing
I mean,
market going crazy. So many houses,
yeah,
not a
housing,
supply.
people moving. I mean, so you could even take a big market, big thing like COVID and start niching it out. Because really, COVID's like and that's why we call it the PPP show. I mean, this is really the pandemic is really sort of the umbrella of all this other shit that is changing underneath of it.
It was a big
Every
slap. It was a big
I
slap.
mean, all the way down to like locally right here in East Tennessee. I mean, our house sales are just crazy.
Yeah. Oh, I lost Will. We got
Right?
technical difficulties. Okay, he's back.
And so like
Hey,
everything was,
can you hear me?
yeah, you're good.
Okay, you got cut off right now. I can hear. Okay, you're back. I got you.
All right.
So
Uh,
the last thing I heard was, right now you're seeing crazy things happening in the housing market right now in your
right.
local town, that the houses are being sold more.
Because of COVID, right? And so that everything's, crazy, crazy housing market. Everybody, a lot of people's moving to the new regions, and like I said, we're seeing a big influx here in East Tennessee. But then also, take like the snowstorm and everything's heavy because you had so you had COVID, kind of the mothership up here, umbrella. COVID caused a lot of people to start moving from California. Let's just face it, a lot of people moving out of California
Yeah,
because of politics and whatever, the reasons are taxes. It was kind of the tipping point,
and they're
I
moving
think.
to Texas.
And where were they going? There were a lot of them were going to Texas as well, right? Well, now you have, I was just having this conversation the other day too. So now you have this massive freeze storm that everybody was like, damn, I didn't know if that was going to happen. Well, it exposed some problems with the power grid, and so now
Mm.
if you got it, so now if you have, say you have, let's just place yourself on a large industrial, like Elon Musk or something, a large industrial type business, and you're like, I'm going to Texas. And then you go to Texas, or you're in that transition, and then this happens. Now it exposes that there's a weakness in power grid. Now
Opportunity.
you're second guessing yourself. Now you're like, well, wait a minute. All right, I was leaving California. Now I'm going to Texas. Now there's exposure. Is my warehouse where I'm building Teslas, is this going to happen again? Am I going to get shut down? Is there going to be a tornado or something, or a freeze storm? Is there something going to happen and shut down my business? And so I've actually been talking to people. They're like, now power generation, power support is becoming part of the thought process of where to put their businesses now. So
Mm.
like TVA, Tennessee here, we have what's called TVA, Tennessee Valley Authority, because we have a lot of lakes. And so they have dams, they have hydropower. It's cheap, it's
Oh, interesting.
affordable,
Hydroelectric. Yeah.
very powerful, right? I mean, we literally, this little region right here literally generates enough power for like whole East Coast, whatever. And it's consistent, it's dependable. You don't hardly ever have any problems. And so I've actually been talking to some guys, and they're like, yeah, we're actually thinking about power being part of our thought process of where we're going to place our business. We're definitely moving from high tech areas. Now we're moving, so
Oh,
I'm just saying,
that's a big one. You said it right there. A lot of people are moving from high density populations, more outskirts, because they
yeah.
don't want to be next to so many clusters of people. Think about that. That's a huge shift. That's a
Yeah.
huge shift right there.
So it goes back to like what the analogy we were given, like the ship. It goes back to being rocky seas. All these little things, all these problems, all these natural disasters and pandemics and all that stuff. That's all waves in the ocean. And at the end of the day, everybody just wants to they just want smooth sailing. You know what I'm saying? And so they're trying to get their businesses in places to where and like I said, I guess how to tie this back in, I guess, without going on and on and on about it. But
Let's frame it. Let's frame it for the business. So the main purpose of this show is just to give strategies, systems, and tactics and sound advice in the
yeah,
business market, presently, and then post how it's gonna look afterwards. So you're talking about currently how the shift of the way. Do you like that? Oh, that's pretty cool. I'm pretty good at that. I can do the way pretty good. Oh, I'm so nimble. God, I had bad back problems. And especially right now, when boats, people's businesses, essentially, that's what he means when he says boats, a person's
Yep.
business or corporation or organization. How do you steady the seas? How do you manage and outweigh those waves? And what we want to put together is from our discussion talking about just how decisions are made from psychology, how it's made from emotion, how crisis affects those parameters, how the attention of exposure to that crisis, how you can leverage it so you can help and actually make an impact and provide value and make a solution for a problem at the same time, trigger the law of reciprocity where you can receive something for your good efforts. Because I don't believe when people say you should just give and not expect anything back. I
Right.
believe you should give and have something in return. That way you can actually keep on going and give more back.
Well, or like, and so right now too, what I see is like what you're talking about with the Oakley story and the miners is they were giving and receiving at the same time.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like because I totally agree with you. I don't think you can have a successful business or do anything successfully if you don't at some point, at some point you've got to get paid. Let's face it. Life's not free. Utility bills aren't free.
We live in an economical world. That's what.
Right, unless you're Texas right now.
Yeah.
So, but you got to get
True,
paid,
that's true. Unless you're in Texas.
and
You
and
can't
if
pay
you
for those pipes.
and so I think right now with the crisis and stuff going on, I mean, the marketing has shifted. Before let's talk about it. So like pre-COVID, you were marketing in a certain way. Take a dealership, a car dealership.
Okay, let's do car dealerships.
I
Honda.
know for a fact, they were not marketing the same pre-COVID as they are now. You know what I'm saying? Like
Now the videos are them spraying the inside of the dealership with a spray and showing them, hey, look, we're sanitized. We're more sanitized than them over there. And we have the exact same
and
cars.
what these things are doing, these things are, these are opportunities that you can capitalize on. So rather you kind of lean into, the problems that people are having, the current problems. And so if I was a car dealer right now, and you're like you said, you want to portray to people that, hey, we are taking COVID serious. We are having, precautions. When we test drive, here's how we're cleaning the cars, before before and after, whichever way you want to say it.
Before and after the test drive, hand sanitizer stations, courtesy gloves, courtesy mask. I mean, it used to be courtesy popcorn. Now it's a courtesy mask.
Right. Like if you were, and so how could you tie this in? Here's how you would do that. So go back to like the Oakley story is that, you've got to find exposure some way. So you either find exposure through like news or an event or something, you know what I'm saying? Like Oakley did, or you got to create your exposure. So you kind of, and this is where it kind of gets in between the line. Like, say you had a dealership, a Chevrolet dealership, and you took a brand new Silverado and you loaded up, several boxes of PPP, or was it personal protective equipment?
Personal protective gear.
Yeah, what I'm talking about, mask, all that stuff, whatever. Or and you were doing a delivery to say, I don't know, say hospitals or low income housing or something. You were doing some sort of humanitarian deal that ties back into COVID, and you had somebody filming it. And then you share and you posted that video. Well, and then you could come up with something like, hey, here at John Smith's, John Smith Chevrolet, we're taking care of our community. We're giving back, we're here to support you. We're not just, what I'm saying? Like you're doing it, but you're filming it and then you're portraying that. So there's kind of a fine line there because some people are like, well, are you really giving value when you're, turning it into commercial? Well, yes, just like Oakley. I guarantee you they probably got condemned on multiple levels for what they did.
They got backlash.
Got huge backlash, but at the same time,
but they got exposure like nowhere else.
Value.
Worth of value.
Thing with this, like if you're a dealership right now, you need to be thinking about ways that you can market your company, that market your cars or whatever, that is doing, like this humanitarian, leaning into COVID, leaning into like right now, if I was in Texas, I would have my dealership. I'd have every freaking car, truck, whatever I had out there. Ford, they've got a generator on their new trucks, right? If you had a Ford truck right now, a dealership right now, I would take I'd say everyone, but I would take several, F-150s, F-250s, whatever that had the little plug in there, and I would pull them up on the people's house. park them in their house and say, hey, plug it in, run your refrigerators and
Oh,
stuff. We'll come back and get it. And you film that.
oh my goodness, that would break the internet, Will.
See what I'm saying? Like
That
you're
would.
leaning into it, you're documenting it, and then you're posting it. And so you're going to get backlash. It'll be, it's always which side you're on. But that's what I would do right now is you lean into it, and you have to market that. You've got to constantly be keeping, because at the end of the day, we have businesses, right? If it wasn't for business, if I was doing this personally, like we do some stuff for Christmas, I don't film that. I don't market it, but during Christmas time, we do some stuff with other families and just kids and organizations and whatnot. And so I don't film that because it's personal. I don't take that, but for the other businesses, for my investing, for the stuff that I have going on that is a business that I am in business for profit. I have for-profit businesses, and so if I'm in the business for profit, then yes, you have to be thinking about how can I be capitalizing every step of the way. I don't care if you're a monster GMC or Ford dealership that's doing, $50 million a year. I don't know if dealerships even do that, but if they do $50 million a year,
There's some that exceed those numbers.
well, and Ford and GM and stuff like that. But even take, take like, I don't know, an Audi dealership or something, like something that's not necessarily Ford. Ford and Chevrolet is kind of easy because they kind of like, especially in Texas, and stuff. But there's so many ways that you could tie this stuff into, but you still got to be thinking about, even a big corporation like that, they're not going, they can't spend money and not be thinking about how to capitalize on the commercials and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? When you were saying that about what a brilliant idea, Will, get their trucks and put them out into the front. Okay, let's talk about that for a second.
Let's email this to every dealer.
Yeah. Let's see who would do it, and let's see if we can get some case studies. Let me bring up something that you'll find. I want to hear your advice on this, or your thoughts on this. TikTok, okay. Sometimes I'll go down the TikTok rabbit hole. I don't know why. There's a lot of interesting stuff on it. And I noticed, and oh, you know what? Actually, that's not true. Let me tell you the reason I do it. I do it so I can feed my curiosity for what's going on right now in people's attention span. I want to see what people find curious. I want to see.
I'll tell you what it is. I do the same thing. It's unfiltered, like thoughts right now. So you can go on.
There you go.
Nobody's censoring them. Well, to an extent, I know some people are, but you can get on there right now and be like, "Hey, this is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm going through." You're getting, it's like real live. It's like it's like MTV live.
It's live in the moment, snap in your pocket, and that's what it is.
MTV come out or whatever it was. That was supposed to be in the Real House. That's what I'm thinking of. Is the real shit? What was it? It was the MTV where they were all in the house. And it was like unfiltered, it's supposed to be in, but that's what it is. You're getting authentic opinions and thoughts of real people. You know what I'm saying? And that's because I agree with you. That's the same thing. I like it for that as well.
And the opinions, the word I would use is I get perspectives from other places. I get to see a different perspective and a different mind framework. And I utilize that so I can see, and businesses are in there. I mean, NFL teams are in there, Hulu, Netflix, HBO, all of these big companies, they're in TikTok and they interact with these videos. And that's what's so funny to me. They'll make a hit on Arby's about, oh, look, what is this burger on Arby's? And then Arby's in the comment, oh, you think that's cool? You should try our shredded chicken, whatever. I'm like, what a funny way to interact with your clientele. And sure enough, whenever you see that, hundreds of responses, hundreds of comments, and it humanizes the company. It gives more of a humanizing connection. But the second part that I wanted to bring in is that I've been noticing a trend, especially with Texas right now, because all the pipes are freezing, and more importantly, the power went out. People's fishes have been dying, right? They'll be in the aquarium, and then the people will show the video and like, yeah, look, my little fish, the whole tank's frozen, and they're all asleep or they're dead. And then there's a video following right after that, and it's one of my buddies, and it's like, yeah, look, us Mexicans, we're good. Let me show you why. And then he pans the camera over, and the car is running. This huge F-250 is running, and they have heating ducts running from the window all the way to the main room, and they insulated it perfectly. And he's like, this is the only thing that kept me throughout the night. I had this bad boy running all night at 80, and it feels like 90 in there. And I started laughing. The first thing that I thought about was, wow, if I had an F-250 and I was stuck in this situation, I would be glad I had one. And if not, the next truck I would buy would be an F-250 because of this one video. And I thought to myself, how can businesses utilize this kind of impression? That's really what it is, an impression, into their marketing or into their sales tactics. And to what you were saying, if you can get a dealership to send out a fleet of 40, 50, how many ever of those trucks, and warm up a whole neighborhood. Like, just say, I'm going to go to this neighborhood, and you record every single house back to back, and there's a row of 10 F-150s on this side and 10 F-250s on that side, and you just have somebody recording it. I would honestly believe that would be some of the best content marketing, value add marketing, and educational marketing that you can do for your business in order to create leads, to retain more customers, or to increase the number of repeat purchases from who you have already. And if you're not utilizing what Will was saying of exposure or creating exposure, that is really where you're getting hurt.
Yeah.
That's really what's, because right now the news feed is being cycled by so many different things, and the attention span of a person has dramatically changed. I mean, it's very easy to be overlooked, and and you said it, Will. It's when you were the walk-ins. That's right. You were talking about how people don't take care of the walk-ins. When they walk in, they just leave them like, oh yeah, whatever. Who's a good example of a person that takes good care of their walk-ins?
Who does take good care of their walk-ins?
Yeah, for example, clothing.
I don't
know, like a boutique clothing store. When you walk in, wedding.
I was about to say, I don't know if I don't even know if they're still around, but it used to be a clothing store called Buckle. You ever heard of them?
Buckle, they're still open, aren't they? I've seen them in the mall.
I don't know if they are or not. I just remember, but I remember like you go in there, you'd walk in, and they were sales people or whatever, but they would come in and they would actually talk to you though, and they would try to help you from like, well, here's how these jeans fit, here's how this shirt fits, because like I know what a slim fit shirt is, I know what skinny jeans are, but am I a skinny jean person? No, you know what I'm saying? Like, so they would help you through that. And so I always liked how they did that. Some people, and here's the thing too, guys, is that, not everybody, you can't please everybody. I mean, you've got to find what works and then go with it, because for every person that for every 3 people that you help, that Buckle helped, and they were like, man, I'm so glad you told me that I'm not a skinny jean person, because I totally thought I rocked these. And you're going to have a couple people that are going to be offended by your opinions, that are going to say, I don't need your help. I just want, and so, you just, again, going back to Oakley, I think that was an excellent example for the conversation today, because, I guarantee they had a bunch of backlash. The Fords, if they did this with and
they were praised as well, though. And they were praised. Hey, that was the best product placement of the century. That was
it's not just product placement. So what I was going to say, like, I'm sure they got backlash, but on the Ford scenario, if they were to do that and put the generators up and stuff, you darn too not have my company's logo, the name of the dealership on the side of the trucks or on the hood or something. You know what I'm saying? You do that, even just a flag in the back, but you're going to get backlash, but you would also get, huge positive, impact on that as well, because you're actually giving value. There's one thing if you're out there doing something, trying to get attention, which that, again, this all goes back to like what you're talking about with the MasterCard, where you started, when you're talking about that, when that guy's saying interruption marketing, that's, hey, you want to watch a video, but you got to see me first. That's not really adding value. You know what I'm saying?
They're kidnapping your attention. That's what he said.
Grabbing your attention. That's grabbing attention that you don't want to give away. They're taking something that you're not really wanting to give away. They're basically selling a spot to a marketer at the viewer's expense. You know what I'm saying? And what I mean by expense, by their time. It's not necessarily monetarily, it's by their time. And so the thing is, moving forward, I think this is the evolution of marketing.
Will, you just said something, man. It's so funny when I talk to you, like we just click. When you said it's the person's time, you know what happens when you start wasting people's time? They start saying, instead of watching this, I'm going to just pay a premium so I don't have to watch ads anymore. And there you
That's
go.
it.
You just get displaced. Who is a prime example? YouTube Premium. I would rather pay YouTube
Boom.
$17. That way I don't have to get interrupted anymore.
Yep.
I mean,
Hulu's got that thing now to where you can pay and have no more ads.
that's
You know what
right,
I'm saying?
Hulu. For low income families that really can't have that extra finance money to pay for an extra amount like that, they'll say, you know what? I would rather get those minutes back. I'll pay an extra $14
Yep.
just so they don't have to get interrupted. That's really what it is.
Yeah. And so I just, I think this is the evolution of marketing,
Post.
that
This is the evolution. This is gonna
like
happen.
value marketing, like, it's almost accepted. It goes, well, let's just call it like it is. So like the interruption marketing, I think is starting to get backlash. No different than like what we're talking about each marketing strategy. And it's really what these are. Is I think they're starting to get backlash. People are starting to resent them for that. And so there's a shift in marketing right now. And that shift is going towards more value marketing, being sort of that good stewardship, that good sort of that good guy, you know what I mean? But you've also got to position yourself to where you're good with a logo on your shirt. You know what I mean? So you got to be able to, it's kind of that read between the lines, like, hey, I'm helping so and so. Meanwhile, I've got, Archara Property Management on here or something. Or you've got to go back to like what you're talking about with TikTok, is you got to go back to, or I ain't gonna say back, but you just got to continue the sort of native content marketing. You know what I'm saying? And so like something that I've been thinking about doing that's for an ad that I'm running through, just to give another example with the property management, specifically HOA management. I thought about communities that, what problems are they having? Well, the biggest thing is that they don't like being the bad guy that lives there, because somebody in that community has to be the enforcer. You know what I'm saying? They got to be the person that's enforcing violations. That's, and so that creates conflict inside the community. And so I was literally going to have, this is a commercial, or not a commercial, an ad that I'm putting together. I just got to get the film, the crews together and all that stuff. But anyway, I'm going to be like in my truck, and I'm going to be driving, and I'm going to stop, and I'm going to filming or have them filming me. And I'm going to pretend like I'm that manager, being like, hey, clean up your yard. You need to get that done, and then drive a little bit more. Hey, put that dog on a leash, and I'm going to put on there, and it's just going to simply say, tired of being the bad guy. Hire a property man, get a manager, or stop being the bad guy. Hire a manager.
Psychology and emotion.
See what I'm saying? So like, but it's going to be funny. What I'm going to try to act like is, that guy that does like he holds the phone up, and he's kind of like, he's a comedian, and he talks to himself, and he's like, damn it.
Which guy? Is it the Can You Hear Me Now guy? That one?
No, he's a comedian, and he's on the phone, and he'll be, and like he's filming himself, close, and he's talking, and he's like,
you got me curious now.
Trying to think of the last one I seen was him at like Disneyland or Disney World down here in Florida, and he was filming. He was like, yeah, sit down and get your, quit crying. I'm gonna get out of here. $8 for a beer. Are you kidding me? And so he's just kind of going back and forth. But he makes really, really funny videos. But I'm gonna try to act like that. So anyway, what I'm getting at is I'm going to do a skit, more or less.
Charlie Barons?
I'm not sure. I have to look him up.
The Midwest guy at Disney? Yeah, that's probably it.
Yeah.
The Midwest guy at Disney. The unplaced person at the wrong place.
Yeah. And so what I'm getting at, though, is it's going to be funny. I want something that's funny. Like, it's, what do you call it when you're kind of making fun of a situation?
A parody.
A parody. Yep. So another a lady that does it really well is that Shay Rowbottom, I think's her name, on LinkedIn.
Yes.
Oh, exactly.
Example.
Those are funny little parodies. And so those work really well. And so I was going to do one of them for property management. She did it for, she did some random things. Like the one that was really funny was the the multi-level marketing for like the scents or whatever them things are that, you know, the aroma things. That was hilarious. And she, come to find out, she was actually selling them. So she was kind of making fun of the things, you know. So a dealership, again, you know, giving a total another perspective, but like a car salesman could do a little parody making fun of car salesmen. You know what I'm saying? Like come out there looking totally silly, you know, a salesman, and you know, you make fun of it. You make, and that is what I consider native content. That is, you know, it don't matter what platform you put that on, it's going to be funny, it's going to be receptive, you know, they're going to like it, and it's going to get you exposure. And so I guess that's what I'm saying is, like, you know, if you can either take advantage of current situations or think outside the box and do like these parodies and funny, you know, content. You got to think about what, you know, why people are on these platforms, why people are, you know, unless it's straight up Google. I think Google is very, what do you call it when it's intent? Like they search Google.
It's direction. It's literally, I am looking for this.
Right. Something, you know, coffee shops near me. Well, if you happen to be the lucky coffee shop that's closest to them when that pops up, then that's great. But you really do, there's really no marketing to that. You know what I'm saying? You know, property managers in Knoxville. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of marketing there. It's placement, you know, it's SEO, search engine optimization.
It's a branch of the full.
Right.
That's really what
Right.
it is.
And so, but what I, when I think of marketing, I think of like outbound marketing. Like I put stuff out with the intent of attracting clients and leads. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what I mean by marketing. So to me, SEO is not really marketing to an extent. You know, it's more being the lucky.
With these car dealerships, they'll have the SEO. For example, they'll have the SEO. However, a big problem that big corporations have is they don't they look at the finances for marketing rather than the people for marketing. A lot of the majority of them.
Yeah.
Like they'll say, how much money can we put in so we can get a CPQL? For people that doesn't know what that means, a certified cost for it's for cost per lead for a cost per qualified lead. Excuse me. That's what CPQL stands for. And big companies will use that metric in the direction of their messaging, of their marketing. And what Will is saying is, rather than utilizing just that metric, find out the native side of your customers, of your current clients, figure out what's going currently in their world, and then utilize messaging to relate to them in whatever field they're digesting in. So for example, TikTok has a different digestible way than YouTube has. It's not the same. A 15-second bike clip is completely different from a 17-minute video. Yep. So what Will is saying is figure out and play with the different variations of putting out native content for those people in that market, because SEO is one area, but you're not really marketing efficiently as you could in that local area with just SEO if you're not utilizing these other methods. Is that a good way to putting it, Will?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. As summed it up nice. And this even goes for like online, because I feel like we've talked a lot about sort of more brick and mortar companies. But even online, you know, I don't know if you necessarily have like the near me piece online, but you know, this goes work for, like, if you got a website, or if you got a, you know, a physical company and you got a website part as well. I mean, it all goes back to driving traffic, you know. So let's say you got an e-com, you know, an e-commerce store, or a marketing, say you're a digital marketing agent. I mean, I've met a lot of people that are social media people that actually know what they're doing and can do well with it, but it's almost like they know how to get, like they forget how to market themselves. It's kind of funny, but they forget that they have to market too, you know. And
you mean they're not actively utilizing marketing techniques and systems for their own company, for their own business.
They don't really practice what they preach to an extent, you know. That they
practicing what they preach. There you go. That's
they know what to do. They know how to do it, but they're not really doing it, you know.
Doing it. I know how to get a 6-pack, but I'm gonna go eat this chocolate cake real quick.
And so, you know, this works for that too. So if you have like an e-com store and you're selling sunglasses, you know, think about how you could be doing, doing that. And it's the same old song and dance. I mean, has been around, even from like Chet Holmes and like I've got a book here, the Breakthrough Advertising, I think is what it is, or whatever, with Eugene Schwartz. I mean,
Eugene Schwartz. Yeah.
it all that, it all goes back to, again, what we started this conversation with, which was attention. It all does go back to getting attention and directing. Like take the good old Eugene. The most famous line he has is that you cannot create desire, you can only channel existing desire into your product or service. And so that's exactly what you're doing here, but you need to be able to do that in a native way, I guess, is to summarize this up. Meaning, can you take a current event and add value and shine a spotlight onto your service or product? Can you take something like an app and do something funny and direct that back to your, say, sunglass online store? You know what I'm saying? Like that's what we're summing up here, I guess, is that yes, you still have to, at the heart of it, you still have to get attention, but it's how you're getting that attention now that is going to result in a sale or not. Or the stigma is that
Right.
you're going to be, I'm tired of, I don't like that company because every time I get on YouTube, I'm seeing the same ad, the ad over and over and over again. You become the bad person,
Mhm.
not the problem solver that
You
you
know
should
what?
be.
That you just hit the nail on the head right there. You said two things previously in our conversation. You brought up time. Number one is the time, and you just said it right now. The second part, the bad guy. The
Yeah.
last thing you want to do is be the company that puts a bitter taste in your client's mouth, which in turn will make them tell everybody else they know, just for whatever reason, just out of spite or for whatever God knows feeling they're going through right then. They will not help you. They will throw you under the bus, or they will just simply hurt you by not even doing anything about you. That's another one.
Yep.
But I'm sorry,
I
go
just
on.
think, I'm just saying, you even to the point where they get it just a bad stigma. They may
Yeah,
not
the
even,
stigma. Yeah.
they're having a conversation. You're like, man, I've been thinking about getting such and such glasses. I don't really like them. Why'd you buy them? No, I don't know, just something about it. Just, it's that subconscious stigma. They just, for some reason, I don't know. For some reason, I just don't like them. But meanwhile, the reason why is because you target the hell out of them. And every time they're on YouTube, they do nothing but watch your commercial every 5 seconds. And again, my thoughts here, they're going to have backlash. Again, you can't please everybody. This is just my opinion, what I'm thinking. Some people are going to say, oh, well, if I got in front of them 10 times over time, it's a numbers game. Over time, they're going to buy.
You know what?
Maybe not.
I have a mixed reaction to that when they say it's a numbers game when it comes to companies with clients. Because, for example, you know what? I can't go into this too much farther because we're getting close to the end of the show. So what
Okay.
we're gonna move into now is we're gonna wrap up and we're gonna summarize everything we talked about and then just extract the lessons learned and just be able to articulate it to the people listening. So we went deep. Will we went heavy, man. I mean, I felt it. I feel the static still in my hairs. My neck hair came up. So what was the original conversation that we were having? We were having the conversation that marketing, the old school way of marketing, has changed. He was the CMO of Mastercard was saying that marketing is dead, and his book Quantum Marketing is talking about how the shift has to be done where it's more value add marketing, educational marketing, consistently into native reaches. Now
Yeah.
we threw a lot of in there, and we were discovering and we were talking about the differences of how this actually applies to clients and how this applies to businesses, both in their marketing system and in the sales system, and actually also in culture system. A huge
Yeah.
one that you guys should know about was Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo had a huge scandal about opening fake accounts, and all of a sudden it was a massive outrage. And that crisis, rather than letting it completely destroy their bank, they utilized that to say, hey, we made a mistake, we corrected it, we made sure that we changed it, and their actual methodology of doing business changed. Rather than going for accounts, rather than going for the sheer number of how many accounts we can open, it changed to a different number score. The quality of satisfaction from our clients. I mean, imagine that. Imagine the change in culture and the change of a business system from going to how many business accounts did you open, to how good was your service to our business clients today? Right. Was Fargo one of the biggest branches in the world? So, with that being said, when we were talking about how you're going to utilize this kind of crisis and create exposure and utilize exposure, we were talking about having backlash towards it and how you can utilize that as well to signify the good portion of it. Because at the same time, if it gives you back, for example, Oakley's, they got backlash about, oh, you shouldn't be utilizing this strategy to put a product placement in this situation. A lot of people were saying, yes, however, what other sunglass company did this? Nobody
Yeah.
else was throwing it in there. These were the guys that actually went in there. And how quickly did they did it? How fast was their action? When the news hit, the first thing they started doing is started talking about it, and they leapt into action. Because of them, that is now going to ripple out, and other people are going to start taking advantage and say, hey, there's a problem. We have a solution. Even though there's going to be backlash, we can still do some help. Those miners down there were probably not thinking about, oh, wow, these sunglasses are going to be a part of this huge media scandal that people are going to have this huge problem with. No, they're just thinking, hey, these are glasses. Great. They're looking good. They feel great. When we get up there, we're not going to be blinded.
Yep.
There's always a black area and gray area to the matter. That shouldn't deter that shouldn't deter you from utilizing that method. That shouldn't deter you from being able to expose a problem or expose yourself as a solution, either or. And then finally, we were talking about how the decisions were being made, psychology and emotions. Same thing with the Chilean miners. Imagine the psychology that it took to see, hey, you know what? How are people going to react to this? And how they started utilizing the emotion. How, I mean, people's emotions were all riled up. Are these men going to die, or are these men going to live? I mean, all of these little factors made a huge difference. And then finally, we were talking about how Will, you were talking about you had four, right? You said you had four companies, and how you started going local rather than wide, and how you started changing your marketing methods, because that's going to change the way you do business. It's going to change the way you actually close deals and get money paid of your service fees.
Yep.
You the HOA specifically, that's what you were talking about.
Yep.
So with all of that being said, the lessons, I mean, that was a lot. Look at the recap. The whole recap was a whole paragraph. So with all that, when you use, what's a proper way of saying this? When you are going to be marketing yourself, your business, or your organization in the current climate, whether it be crisis marketing, educational marketing, interrupting marketing, the more effective it can be, the higher you should lean into it. And you should utilize different variations and see what works, and never be just put off to not using one. Like Will saying, when I was reading off the list, he saw how some worked, and pretty much all of them, right, Will? You were saying that pretty much all of them you were seeing success with, and some more than others, clearly, but universally they all worked. So don't be closed off to all of the marketing methods that are out there. I listed out 50. Those are 50, and that's just a fraction of how many there are out there. So don't be limited to how many you can use. They're all just roads. Those are all just roads to people. At the end of that road, there's going to be the ideal client that's waiting for you. How are you going to get there? Like Will said, how are you going to weather the seas on your vessel, on your boat? How are you going to get your business across this landscape of all this craziness and get through the noise and get your message in front of the ideal person? Would you say that's a
Yeah.
that's a
That's
proper way of putting that?
That's it. That's it.
Yes. That's it, man. I think we covered it. I think we covered it pretty good for today. Tune in for the next episode. I believe we should do a live next one. Get some people on, get some questions going, and then let's see how we can react with them. What do you think?
Yeah. Sounds good to me.
I think that's what's going to happen. So that is the end of the second episode of the PPP show with Diego Rodriguez and Will, the amazing bull rider Morris. Do you mind if I say that? I just love saying it, man. I am so impressed every time I realize that.
I just
God damn.
portrayed that I was amazing or anything. I mean, I rode a couple times, so but I sucked.
Do you know how crazy it is to get on that animal was meant to bludgeon people. It literally has these bad boys right there for that purpose. And you get on top of it and you say, all right, boy, give me what you got. Oh my God. No, thank you. So For the listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to have some very interesting topics coming up, and we're going to get some people coming in as well in their industries, business owners, and subject matter experts to give you the latest, greatest, and most tactfully sound advice. That is the main thing that this show is trying to give to you. No fluff, no BS, cut straight to the point. That way you can utilize it and apply it to your business. So you can either make it better, optimize it, or just completely cut something out that's not being worked on correctly. With that being said, have a fantastic day, and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.